We are live.
Oh, we are live, but I am going to have to switch where I hear Steve. All right. For some reason, Steve, I have a 5-second delay on hearing Steve. So I'm going to turn him off the opposite of the way I normally do. I hear him twice. One moment, please. Output device is, I'm going to make that be... There we go. Now I should hear you directly, but I will not be able to hear anything from Mimo Live. Hello, everybody. How did you like that exciting pre-show splash page? That was a lot of work for Steve.
So now I do see myself delayed in
okay.
In
and
Mimo.
You didn't believe me. You thought it was me.
Well, I wasn't seeing
it's not a little delay.
Okay.
It's a really big delay.
It just caught up. Well, almost. One.
Well,
two,
okay, if it's
three.
close, it was 5 full seconds before.
It's about a second off now.
Matt Clerker's a pest. She immediately said she wants different music.
Yeah, I heard
she wants something jazzier.
I reserve the right to pick the music.
All right, it's time for roll call. We've got Brett and Kevin, who claimed he was going to be late but was on time. I don't know what's up with that. We've got Jason. Oh, nice. It says Dudley 228 parentheses Jason. If everybody would do that, I wouldn't have to learn everybody's name. And Stephen and Marty and Michael Price and Sandy and Michael Westbay. So we have two.
Count them. Two Michaels.
Two Michaels. That's exciting. Two Michaels in one. Let's see. And who do we have in the sidebar? We've got David Roth in the house. That is
David,
fun.
Welcome.
And it looks like Joe McKinley's in the sidebar there over with Dorothy. And Michael Deweese says he's there, but I don't think he's really there. And only one John. Do I have to put my name in parentheses? Yeah, no. It should say Wingwoman, parentheses Sandy. And let's see. And Frank bringing up the rear. All right. It is lovely to see all of you guys. I'm going to do something very odd and unusual and strange here. Steve, I'm going to change what NDI is showing on screen. Right, and I want you to make this, see if this will go full screen. Where's NDI? I'm going to send text edit to the screen.
All right.
Because I want to show you the weirdest thing I have ever seen. Okay.
Do you want me to go full screen or?
Yeah, let's go full screen. Just give people a chance. So if you have a Mac, you can in front of you, you can replicate this. Trevor Drover from Australia sent me this. He has discovered a truly bizarre keystroke that does a unique thing. We don't know what it's doing, and we don't know why it's doing it. Type a number between 1 and 12. No, 1 and 11. So you see I typed the number 1, and I'm going to hit Option Escape. Now, do you see that pull down there? I can choose a bunch of the things look like time, like 1 p.m.s, 12 p.m.s, but then it says 190th. That's a street in my neighborhood. And then it's got a bunch of other stuff that looks like 12-ish, 11-ish, 1-ish, that kind of thing. And it says 1-CHOME with a line over it. And I didn't actually look to see what Michael Westbay's answer was to this. From what all I can figure out, that word 1-CHOME with a line over the O is a district it's a city district in Japan, or the way it's represented, something like that. So that's the number 1. So if you do 2,
not a misspelling of Chrome.
No, 2 option escape, you get something different. 3 option escape, And you'll actually start seeing these move around as you select them. So if I go down and I choose thirds, for example, the next time I do 3 option escape, it might be at the top. Yeah, it did once before. And
Michael did confirm it's a
it
Japanese
is
address.
It's in a Japanese address. Yeah. So is it at a specific address in Japan, or is it a way some addresses are represented in some way? We'll hear back from Michael
like
here.
It's not enough information to uniquely identify a house. Maybe it's like a zip code.
Well, no, it's a city district, is what
okay.
What I said
Block
and what I
found.
Called it. Yeah. So, like like downtown or something, maybe. Yeah, its blocks are grouped by Chome, Chome. Okay. So now here's where it gets interesting. Helma did it, and hers said under 3, it said 3981AJ, and that is the zip code or something like that of where, or a PO box area or something like that near where she works. So it's pulling something in.
So it's partially influenced by your behavior, your typing into the Mac over its lifetime.
Or, but I don't know. Like I've got 4chans under 4. Does anybody else get that?
4chan?
Okay, so Michael didn't get that Chome thing, or Chome, or however you pronounce it.
Let me try.
Okay, within that there are actual blocks of building numbers. Okay.
So,
Komi, he says it's pronounced. Komi or Chomi?
What's the keystroke again?
Option escape after a number between 1 and 11.
After the number, okay. One option escape.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Dorothy doesn't get anything like that. So you got 190th also.
Yeah.
Dorothy says she didn't get anything like that, but she's on Mojave. Now, do you get anything when you hit 1 and then option escape? Don't put a space. Okay, Michael Price sees 4chans. Isn't this the weirdest thing? What is this?
And when I did 2, I got like 5 options to pick from.
Oh, I'm always getting options, but I get more or fewer depending on which number it was. Like 2DAY''S. What is that for?
3 PMs.
2 days with an apostrophe.
This is
you get AM or ISH or 1 PM or PM. Okay, so you are getting the same kind of stuff, Dorothy.
ISH?
I think everybody sees something different, which is
but some of them are common. Now, maybe it's because I live with you, but I got 190th as you did.
Yeah. So, Dorothy, try 4 if you get 4chans, because Marty sees 4chans, and Michael Price does.
I'll try 4 too.
Okay. So, John, I've got some of the ones you're showing there. Is this just like the weirdest thing? Yeah, what is this? Why is it here?
It's like, all right, this needs a dumb question corner or some little write-up.
Okay, John also got he did an audio recording for it, so you guys are gonna get a that's basically a pre thing. I'm not gonna be able to do it till next week. Dumb feature corner. Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's awesome. Can I steal that? I might call it dumb feature corner. This is just the weirdest thing. I just don't understand why it exists. What the heck is it? All right, we should probably see whether I can record a show. I should be showing Hindenburg again. And let's hope my Mac lasts the whole show. I have done a full reinstall of Mac OS, and I have reset my SMC since last week. So let's hope this works.
Hold on. Hindenburg is not updating. Let me do a refresh on your NDI.
Okay, I'm going to do a recording. I am not going to hang on and wait for you. I'm going to do it. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com. Okay, play that back. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan. Whoop, can't hear it. Steve, you are sniffing into your microphone quite a bit.
All right.
Been hearing it a lot. So and I can mute him now too. Well, maybe I can.
No, you can't.
Oh,
mute
I know what the
Discord.
problem
You
is.
can't mute Discord
Oh, I know what the
feature.
problem is.
With that
Oh, I
feature.
can't?
Well, not with the feature that button doesn't mute Discord. That's a Mimo mute.
Okay,
So I'll
then
mute
I'm turning
myself,
you off.
but you might have to
No,
remind me
I
occasionally.
don't trust you. Is your video and voice in sync?
Yeah, it's in sync now, I think. Hold on.
Okay, well, if it's in sync.
Testing? Yeah, it's in sync.
All right, let me see.
1,
Okay, talk to
2,
me.
3, 4, 5. It's
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how far apart I just heard you.
Huh. Okay, chat room. Am I on YouTube in sync, folks, or Allison's out of sync?
Oh, good
Great.
grief. Wait, Steve is on YouTube. What do you mean,
We're both on YouTube.
Yeah. Wait, now she said, Jill said yes. We got to ask one question. Is Steve out of sync on YouTube?
And here's a test. Ready?
Oh,
Clap.
synchronicity. Okay, nobody's answering.
Yeah, maybe it's delayed like 20 seconds.
Well, I'll do a clap while we're waiting.
All right.
Ready? I look in sync to me. But more importantly, can you hear playback?
Yeah.
Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com. Okay. Did anybody hear the playback? Heard it. Good. All right, Steve, I'm going to hit it, and I'm not going to be able to use the control surface to do anything. And I realize the reason you need to use the app, not the web app for Mimo Remote, is because the iPad falls asleep. It doesn't with the app, but it does with that. So that is not going to work for me. Okay. All right, I'm going to get this show on the road.
Am I on Discord? Can you hear me on Discord?
Yes. So you need to mute now, please. All right, here we go. All right. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, April 26, 2020, and this is show number 781. Well, we have a special little notice to start the show. And Kevin will like this a lot. Let's see. Ooh, there's no gap between us. To start the show.
Hey, NosillaCastaways, this is Steve. As you may have heard, Allison's podcast is coming up on its 15-year anniversary in a couple weeks. Now would be a great time to send in a short audio recording if you'd like to acknowledge Allison's accomplishment or say something interesting about the NosillaCast or any of the Podfeet podcasts.
Sandy says lost. Oh, it's back? Okay. You're breaking up on Discord.
We'll be playing your clips on our 15-year anniversary show, so please send your input to allison@podfeet.com. Looking forward to hearing from you.
All right. So I heard Sandy said it came and went. Wonder if this is just a Discord problem here to start the show. Okay. All right. I'm going to just keep recording. I got to keep going. I don't know what to do about that other than to save off early and save often.
At podfeet.com. Looking forward to hearing from you.
Well, that was fun, Steve. I appreciate you doing that little preamble there. I hope people do. We have gotten quite a few entries already, but the more the merrier. I think it would be a fun show to hear a lot of this. Well, this week I was on the awesome Daily Tech News Show podcast again with Tom Merritt and Sarah Lane. We covered the tech news as always, and in the discussion section, we noodled a recent study that says that kids raised with screens are not worse people overall than kids raised before screens were so prevalent. I employed Dr. Gary's advice on how to look at studies in general, and of course, we threw in anecdotal evidence to muddy the waters. It was great fun as always, and you can find the episode at dailytechnewsshow.com. And of course, there's a link in the show notes, and you can listen in your podcatcher of choice. All right. The title of the episode was Study Finds Science Works.
That's
You're allowed
amazing.
to talk right now, Steve.
I have to hit like 3 unmute buttons now.
Yeah. I don't know with that long fade out whether that's this. Does this sound okay of how long I wait to talk?
At podfeed.com. Looking forward to hearing from you.
Well, that was.
I would compress it a little bit. You can actually overlap it with the fade out.
You think you want to? Okay.
You
I'll
can
let
talk
you
over the
hear
fade
how
out
it
a
sounds.
little bit, yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Podfeed.com. Looking forward to hearing from you.
Well, that was fun, Steve.
Good.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
She blinded me with science. Okay, good. Okay, I need a chapter mark. And I'm going to put in DTNS 3764. DTNS 3764. There we go. Study finds science works. Actually, I like that title. I'm going to put it in. So I know you guys always say that you can't hear the hiss, but when I listen to the final show, I can hear the hiss. I've got my laptop like 8 feet away now, hoping that keeps it from making noise.
Has anyone else written in and said, Allison, you got a hissy show?
No.
No. But you notice it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't listen to the show. If you did, I think you would notice it. Sniff. You're sniffing like crazy, my dear.
Allergies.
Yeah. Okay, mute yourself.
Muting.
Ken Ray, hosting one of my favorite Apple podcasts, macOS Ken, has started a new show. He calls it In a Few Minutes. The show is an interesting format. In a given week, each day you'll get 10 to 15 minutes of conversation with a guest. The conversations are what I might call tech adjacent. Might be about social issues tied to tech, discussions of the latest streaming show, or even some talk of Apple services and hardware. It's a very casual conversation allowed to go anywhere it wants. He records these in one sitting and then feeds out the episodes one per day. 2 weeks ago, it was our good friend Barry Falk. Last week, it was Tom Merritt. And next week, it's little old me. If you go to your podcatcher of choice and search for In a Few Minutes, you'll be sure to find it. Or there's a link in the show notes to the show on Apple Podcasts. By the way, Steve, I am not going to do the long article about XK past WD this week. I'm saving it.
Got plenty of content, huh?
Yeah, it's going to be at least a 45-minute show. So, okay. And if I do that, it means I can work on the double secret project and I can work on my homework assignment.
Oh, goody.
Chapter mark I have saved. Uh-oh.
We have a snoring dog.
We have a video from Kevin.
Yeah, I played it. It's a little choppy, at least the one I got. I'm not sure what happened there.
Yeah, it goes.
You know what it sounded like? Kevin. The mismatch in the sampling frequency, the 48 versus... You know that problem that...
No, that makes it go high-pitched like a chipmunk.
Okay, that certainly wasn't a chipmunk. It was more like a beaver.
I wonder if that's what they're hearing when they say they hear me break up and then come back.
Oh, who knows?
When you hear Barry talking in a segment in a little bit, you may find out that might be the answer of why he was unable to do what he wanted to do on Discord. All right, mute yourself.
Yeah, right.
Apple Podcasts. Okay. Well, you just heard the Tiny Tip music, but I think I maybe should call this one a Pico Tip because the Tiny moniker is actually too grand for it. Before I describe this tip, I do have to give credit to John Syracusa, who idly mentioned it during an episode of the Accidental Tech Podcast. It's a great show, and if you're not already subscribed to it, you might want to go check it out. You know, I mean, after you're done listening to the NosillaCast and Chit Chat Across the Pond Light and Programming of Stealth, of course. All right, the problem to be solved is quite trivial. You're in Safari and you've asked a website to download something, And let's say for grins and giggles, it's a zipped up disk image for an application. You ask for the download, the new security measures ask you if you want to allow downloads from the site, and you grant access. In the upper right corner of the browser window, next to the little share sheet icon, you'll see a downward facing arrow appear. Below that will be a wee tiny progress bar. For this tip to make any sense at all, let's assume it is a rather large download, like the disk image I mentioned, or that your internets aren't the speediest, so while it's downloading, you get bored and you flip over to Twitter. At least that's what happens to me if it takes longer than about 3 seconds. When the download is complete, your downloads folder will bounce in the dock, demanding that you pay attention. If you want to open the downloads folder to see the file you just downloaded, you have a couple of options. Remember that little icon I was telling you that was going to take forever to download, so you wandered off? If it okay, I hate this. My cursor disappears. All right. So I can't flip back. Remember that little found a typo that Sandy missed. I think doc has a K in it, doesn't it? Yeah, there
As
we
in
go.
what's up, Doc, or Doc in your
Bouncing in the dock.
Oh.
So I got distracted. I took a screenshot, and when I'm doing the live show and I take a screenshot, it kills my cursor. So I can't flip over and do anything. All right, let me keep going here. Remember that little icon I was telling you about that was going to take forever to download, so you wandered off? Well, it's now changed into a black circle with a down arrow on it. The last thing you downloaded is right there with a magnifying glass next to it. Simply tap the magnifying glass and your downloads folder will open with the latest download selected. Well, that was a really easy way to get right to the thing you just downloaded. And everybody probably already knew that, so it's not much of a tip. Not even nano tip worthy. Here's the second problem to be solved, though. Because we get so easily distracted, by the time the dock icon starts bouncing, we have completely forgotten that the little icon in Safari will reveal our download in just 2 clicks. The new shiny bouncy thing in the dock has completely hijacked our little brains. Instead, we immediately drag our cursor to the dock because, it's bouncing, right? Anyway, we click on that seductive downloads icon, and what happens? Does it open the downloads folder? Nope. It brings out this annoying arced fan on screen of every single thing you've downloaded and forgotten to properly file away. Now, I know, you can right click or control click on the downloads icon and change the view from that annoying fan view to a grid or a list, but I've never bothered to add that to my giant mind map of doom for when I rebuild a system after a clean install. I fixed it now, but instead of the annoying fan, now I have an annoying list or grid. I don't want a list of what's in my downloads. I want to open my downloads folder. All right, we're finally to the nano tip. So remember, you're just like me in that you simply cannot resist dragging your cursor down to the bouncing downloads folder. To open the folder, instead of just seeing the fan list grid view, hold down Option Command and click the downloads button, the downloads icon in the dock. Boom! That's the trick. Isn't that mind-blowing? Command Option click on the downloads in the dock and it opens the downloads folder. Well, I thought it was mind-blowing, and I've been using Option Command click on my downloads folder ever since John said it on Accidental Tech Podcast. Now, I'm going to give you a half bonus tip. There's another way to see your downloads folder quickly, but it's not nearly as cool as option clicking the dock icon. Command tab to the Finder and type Option Command L. This will open the downloads folder. Now, you might have thought it would be Option Command D, but that opens the desktop. I guess downloads showed up late when they were handing out keystrokes at the macOS launch party, and desktop got there first. Here's yet another related bonus tip. If you've still got Safari open and the download is completed, maybe it's way too hard to drag your cursor to the downloads icon to click it. You can use your same keystroke, Option Command L, to pop that little menu down to reveal your download. You still have to click on the magnifying glass. I'm not sure it's a bonus tip. Like I said, maybe a half bonus tip, sort of like a half snow cone. All right, I'll give you another half bonus tip. If you're focused enough to wait for the download in Safari, then click the downward arrow and click on the downloaded file name. Finder will open the downloads folder, highlighting the file you just downloaded. None of these other amazing tips, even John Syracuse's astonishing Option Command click tip, will open downloads with your last downloaded file highlighted. However, you can make it really easy to find the last thing you downloaded in this pile of glop you keep meaning to clean out. Open your downloads folder, maybe using Option Command L, and at the top of the window, you'll see 4 icons for how you want to view your files. You'll see icon view, list view, column view, and that gallery view thing they stole from the people they bought who made CoverFlow. To the right of those 4 icons is one for icon grouping. It's an odd little icon with 2 horizontal lines and 3 tiny squares under each line. That icon is called item grouping. With item grouping, you can do tricky things like having the files grouped by size. This might surface large video files, say when you're trying to triage your computer for giant files. Anyway, there's a bunch of options, but the one I'm talking about is date added. I keep my downloads folder grouped by date added because there is never a time that I want to open my downloads folder to find anything but that thing I just downloaded. Now, I think you got more than your money's worth with this tiny tip, even if the actual tip was really a nano tip. There we go, nano tip. Talking Horse recommends that you say, Mr. Ed. Oh, is Guy here?
It's gotta be. Or it could be Ed.
So Dorothy says she goes to Finder Downloads. How do you get to the Finder? I saw another, in my actual tip, I found a mistake. To open the folders, click boom. That's a trick. My downloads. Oh man. What do you mean it's right there? You have to get to the Finder. You know, Mr. Ed is not as funny as it was when I was a kid.
Doesn't hold up?
No, I tried it.
Not so much.
Did you like my little Easter egg there for you, Steve?
I went down to turn on the barbecue.
Oh, you missed it? Are you serious?
I guess so. Sorry.
I said it was a half tip. I said it was like a half snow
tip,
cone.
like a half snow cone. Yes. Thank you.
I said a half.
Oh.
Jeez. Okay, so now I can't find the
it's
bug.
Ed Tobias. It's not Guy.
Oh, it is?
He says he's waiting on a virtual coffee.
Oh, then it is Ed Tobias. Hi, Ed. Oh man, now we got to know Mr. Ed is Ed. See, and if you were kind like Dudley, you would put your name in parentheses. Nope, it's more fun to make me learn more names because I'm so bad at it. Now I can't find the stupid mistake. Simply bouncing downloads folder. To open the folder, it says just you're gonna hold down Option Command click and boom. That's the trick. Is that mind blowing? Well, I thought it was mind blowing. Been using Option download. Okay.
Yeah, Papago Vero.
Clicking the dot. Oh. Papago Vero. Okay, so Guy is here. Wait, Trevor's here. Is that Trevor Drover?
Oh, it may be.
Trevor, I showed everybody your crazy option escape. Everybody was wowed and amazed.
Sounds like a Houdini trick.
I think that's Trevor Drover. It is. Oh, all right. Shoot, I wish I'd waited to show everybody. I just showed everybody, and everybody was blown away. It was crazy. It's crazy.
Maybe he was here. Just.
Did
you see it, Trevor?
Does that tip work on Windows Vista?
I don't think Trevor's in the live show listen, but hopefully he's listening on YouTube. There's your virtual coffee, Ed.
All right.
Thank you, Jason.
It is time to hear from Barry.
All right. We will go on mute.
No, you don't need to yet.
Oh.
All right. So this next thing, Barry is doing a Midwest Mac Barbecue game night.
Cool.
And he really wants everybody to come. It's going to be on Zoom, and it's going to be people playing Jackbox games. And this is him talking about it, and he actually wants everybody to go. He gave me his email to post.
Might be crowded.
Yeah, when did he say? What's the time on it? Somebody look it up. 3 p.m. Eastern, I think on May 1st. Is that right? Can you double check me, Steve?
It's May 1st at 5 p.m. Central Time. Friday, May 1st, 5 p.m. Central.
Oh, 5 p.m. Central. So okay, that's why I thought 3 because 3 for us.
Yeah. Pacific.
But it's going to go on for like 3 hours, so you can drop in. It's like an open house. Let's see what Trevor says. Did you see my extra strange things I found? I can't open mail right now, unfortunately, because I have too much stuff open and my machine might die. I don't remember. All right, Marty's going to be there. Drunk Nick Nolte. It's going to be crazy. All right, let me check and see how this sounds. Just play a little bit. Actual tip was really a nano tip. Well, if you don't know Barry Falk, I'm not quite sure how that happened because everybody knows Barry Falk, except for some reason, Tom Merritt has never met Barry.
Yeah, which is funny considering I was recording with Ken Ray and I mentioned that I was reading Tom's books.
Oh, okay. And so this was on the podcast in a few minutes, and then Tom came on the following week, and Ken said something like, "Oh, you know Barry Falk," and he says, "No, I don't know Barry Falk." It's just kind of funny because it's like saying you don't know Jean McDonald, right?
Right.
I mean, everybody knows Jean McDonald.
Exactly.
You can't not know her.
It's the 6 degrees between you, me, and Alice and Gene.
Yeah, right. So I asked Barry to come on the show because he's doing something interesting. Barry was the genesis of what became Macstock. He started the Midwest Mac Barbecue. All right. I'm not going to let you hear all of that. Oh, but I didn't do a chapter mark on it.
Big T's.
Where was it? Huh? Big T's?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You know who I am. Okay, that's the end of boy. That tiny tip went on and on. Barry on game night. There we go. All right, so I do need to put in a chapter mark. Boy, that's a long chapter name. Hope that's gonna fit. But I wasn't sure what. It's kind of a how-to, and it's a please come to my Mac barbecue party. We need to put that in the calendar, Steve. Is there a chance you can do that?
Yes.
Oh, Marty's playing Jackbox with his students after class for decompression.
May 1st? That's coming up.
Yeah.
That's coming up pretty quick.
Yeah.
That's like, well, that's this coming Friday.
I know. That's why we had to post it today.
Yeah. Oh, I have it on the COVID calendar. I should change that.
Yeah. Please don't talk about our private calendars, dear. Thanks. Okay. Mute yourself, please.
Muting.
All right. I can't believe, Marty, you're doing Jackbox games with kids because, man, it degrades into non-child friendly pretty quickly amongst my friends and family. Anyway, here we go.
Looking forward to it. So I hope to see everybody there.
Well, I hope you don't hear this later than May 1st. I know that could probably happen to a lot of people, but keep in mind, Barry loves to do stuff like this, but he will most likely do it again. So if he does, I will mention it. Well, if you find that you learned something from the Podfeet podcast, or if you find them entertaining in any way, I'd like you to consider putting some of your hard-earned cash behind that to help the show. One of the ways you can do that is by using the PayPal donation button at podfeet.com/PayPal. Remember, everything good starts with podfeet.com, right? Even donating money. Anyway, that's what Ralph did this week. I tried to get him to do an audio review for the show, which is another awesome way to support the show. But as we talked through what was involved, he decided he'd much rather send a donation than do a recording. And I was not going to argue with him. Anyway, if you don't have any spare money right now, and I know a lot of you are in that boat, ignore everything I just said. Take care of yourself and your families and do not give it another thought. Thank you to all of you, though, who do support the show in whatever way you can. All right, Jill's going to kill me because I didn't. Is Jill in the show? I don't think Jill's here. I am going to play her. Here. Is she? Jill's going to kill me. I'm not going to play your other review yet. I'm going to play it next week. Oh, but you should just be mad at Steve. He knocked over your
cheese.
He knocked over your cheese today.
But I put it back where it belongs.
You did not.
If you tilt your camera up.
Yeah, if I tilt my camera up, you will see where I put it back.
No, I just put it back.
No, it's not that one anyway. It was No, that's not where it belongs. It doesn't go there. It goes down on the table.
I put it back then.
Well, yeah, actually, that's kind of cool where the light glows through it. Let's see. Okay, hang on.
There we go. There, that.
Yeah,
nice
look
triangle.
You can see the light.
Let's go full screen here.
Look at the light glowing through the
cheese.
There you go. Actually, that looks pretty cool. I think I'll keep it there.
It's a little high.
It's not breakable. Yeah, but the lamp he knocked over was.
But it didn't break.
Mm-hmm. How come the clock isn't lined up with the clock, Steve?
Oh,
That's upsetting.
Wait.
I don't like
the
that.
The clock isn't lined up with the clock. What are you talking
Who moved my cheese? Sorry. That wasn't even anybody else's joke. I came up with that one on my own.
Falling off the cracker.
Yep. Okay, hang on. I had it and I lost it. There it is.
So where do you want the clock?
Well, you used to put it on top of the clock. You just, just move it anywhere you want. It can be like a Where's Waldo every week where people have to find it. Getting a lot of,
No,
cracking toast.
I had it over here before, but it's.
Where did you put it? Was it on my face?
It was just right here.
It's nice.
But
what's not to love about cheese? She brought us cheese when she came to visit us.
Yes.
Jill is the bomb.
And some nice beer.
Jill's the best. Yeah, Steve liked that beer.
Mm-hmm.
He drank all of it.
Not in one sitting.
Well, okay. We'll go with that. All right, guys.
What do we have here, Allison?
That's like my birthday present.
Keyboard.
That is the Magic Keyboard.
Looks oddly shaped.
Hang on. I can't hold it up that long.
Captain, I can't hold it up.
All right. I may have to take a break in this. It's going to be long. All right. Let's get comfortable. Yeah, not traveling for a bit.
Refreshment here.
All right. Well, it's not like you guys. What did Steve get? Well, let me show you.
Well, how should I go grab it?
Actually, you should. Go get it. It's not like you're going to listen to me anyway. Right?
But you're going to be doing.
Or I can send a picture. What would you prefer?
Picture.
Okay, but I want everybody to convince him to do a. Wait, do I have it? Nope. I can't send it, Steve. You'd have to post it.
Okay.
It's gone from delete me. But I will show something that's fun. Just what did I do with it? Oh man, I don't have that either. Poop. All right. Well, never mind. Thank you. Did you see Sandy wants a review of the gift?
She doesn't even know what the gift is.
It's a telescope.
Yes.
It's the telescope that we interviewed Corey Lee, the CEO of Celestron at CES. It's that telescope, the one that you use your phone to find things. So Steve, you need to I think you should go get it. Go get it while I'm recording.
All right. We'll give that.
It's not like you're going to listen anyway. I mean, you went off and played with the barbecue. Yeah, do mute before you go. So
what I'll do is while you're recording, I'll switch from Hindenburg to my view and just show it
and do full screen
without saying anything.
But you can go full screen if you want. Nobody's listening to me.
All right.
Just make sure you're muted.
I'm leaving for the time being.
Why does he lower his voice like that when he does it? It sounds so dumb. Oop. I was recording when I said that. All right, here we go. Sometimes a product comes along in the Apple environment that you don't need, but you really want. Well, okay, most of the time probably. But this year, it's the Magic Keyboard for iPads Pro. At $300 for the 11-inch keyboard and $350 for the 12.9-inch iPad Pro, as Rob Dunwood would say, it costs a grip. You can buy an entire brand new 10.2-inch iPad for less than that. The 7th generation iPad, $329. So this is more than the keyboard for the 12.9-inch iPad Pro. Now, I've been a huge fan of the Smart Keyboard Folio for iPad Pro ever since it came out. At $200 for the 12.9-inch and $179 for the 11-inch iPad Pro, people used to complain about the price, but now that price isn't looking too bad, is it, for $200? Anyway, at this point, you might be asking, what problem are you trying to solve, Allison? The only excuse I can make is that I wanted a new one because, well, it's shiny. You get that, right? My old Smart Folio is showing signs of wear, so I could throw that in as another excuse. Plus, it was my birthday, and that's what frivolous gifts are for. And work with me here. Well, before I start talking about the new Magic Keyboard for iPad, let's review what I liked about the Smart Keyboard Folio. First of all, compared to any other attached keyboard for iPad, it is significantly lighter. The Bridge keyboard actually doubles the weight of the iPad, and the Logitech keyboards, while truly awesome typing devices, are super heavy too. The Keyboard Folio was the lightest of the bunch. Since I sport a 12.9-inch iPad Pro, I do not need any extra weight added on. Before the Smart Keyboard Folio came out, there was the original Smart Keyboard for iPad. It was kind of floopy though, so it would bend a lot when you had it on an uneven surface like your lap. It was also a bit of an origami project to fold and unfold it. I got pretty good at it, but if I handed it to someone, they would be baffled at how to set it up. I can't bear not to look at Steve, sorry. What are you looking at? He's spying on the neighbors.
And there she is, my Celestron Explorer telescope. It's a reflector, 4.5-inch diameter mirror, collects a lot of light. So should we tell them about our viewing
Go ahead.
experience?
Tell them what you saw.
So on
The first one and then the second one.
So the first thing we looked at was the planet Venus, and I had never seen Venus in a crescent before, which is pretty cool. Obviously the moon, but Venus was very bright. And
actually, yeah, we haven't looked at the moon with it.
Yeah, we could probably.
We need to do that.
We should do that. So that was our first outing, very successful. Then more in the morning, there are 3 planets at least recently viewable. They are Neptune. Well, let's not talk about Neptune. It's not very viewable. So Saturn, Mars, and Jupiter. And so we saw Mars, not so interesting, just kind of a red ball. But Saturn, we could see the rings clearly. You could actually see the space from between the ring and the planet. There was that much resolution, and it was and about 30-degree tilt. And Allison noticed a little dot off to the side that she thought might be one of the moons. And later I went back to look at where the moons of Saturn are placed right now. And sure enough, that moon is Titan, which was really cool.
We saw Titan.
We saw Titan, the largest moon of Saturn. And it's pretty far from the planet. It's farther than I thought it would be. Much farther, obviously, than the ring spacing. And then the other view of Jupiter was really cool, too, because we saw all 4 Galileo moons that were spaced in a line all on one side of Jupiter, which is also very cool. And Allison spotted, and I saw 2 of the stripes on Jupiter's surface. We couldn't see the great spot, but it was really cool. First time I've seen.
I would like to point out
live.
That was sitting in Los Angeles.
Right.
That was at dawn too. That wasn't even like deep night. And it was in LA with like light pollution and everything. I mean, I can't wait till we get it out into the desert or something. So yeah. Oh, hey, that's a nice one. Galileo.
Nicely done. Anyway,
there aren't many lights in LA these days, right? Yeah, so you should totally do a review.
That was my birthday gift. Thank you very much.
So that was pretty good. Yeah. But let's get back to me.
All right.
All right. What was the last thing I said here? Totally. They would be baffled at how to set it up. So make sure you bug him to do a review. All right. Saves. Need to go to Joshua Tree. Yeah, I wonder if we could go to Joshua Tree, pull off to the side of the road, not in the park. Like the park might be closed. I don't know. Maybe. All right, keeping going. The Smart Keyboard Folio, again, which is still available, has a very sturdy platform bottom in comparison. There's no floopiness, and it's very simple to fold and unfold. It has exactly 2 viewing angles, but I really only ever used one of the angles. It was great sitting on the counter in the bathroom for morning video podcast watching, and also still great in my lap on the couch. I also really liked typing on the Smart Keyboard Folio. I liked it, and I still do like it better than the keyboard on my 2016 MacBook Pro, and I still like it better than the new and improved keyboard on the 2019 16-inch MacBook Pro. Now, I know that's heresy to say that, but remember, keyboards are opinions, not facts. I've said it before, declaring the feel of a keyboard as categorically bad or good does not make sense, because it's all about whether you like it or not. I like the Smart Keyboard Folio's keyboard. Anyway, I've told you all about the Smart Keyboard Folio, so you can use it as a reference for what I like and don't like about the new Magic Keyboard for iPad. It also might help you make a decision between the two. For twice the price, the Magic Keyboard better be awesome. Let's start with the most important feature, typing. In my opinion, typing on the Magic Keyboard on a flat surface is an absolute delight. The surface of the keys is soft and smooth, which is really pleasing, the touch of it. And the travel of the keys combined with the resistance is exactly balanced for me. The Magic Keyboard, as I'm sure you've seen, holds the iPad up almost like it's floating above the keyboard. Having it up like that is delightful. There's a price to be paid with the floating iPad, and that's that it isn't as stable as the Smart Folio. On a flat surface, it does sit flat, but on my lap in a chair, it has a tendency to rock back just a bit so that when I put my hands on it, I'm having to push it back down. The farther back I'm relaxing, like reclining in an easy chair, the better it is at sitting flat on my legs. Sitting upright in a chair like you would at a conference, the tilt would definitely bother me a little bit. I like to sit in bed in the morning with my first cup of coffee and doodle on the internet. I normally sit cross legged, which I know is unusual for a 62-year-old, but I'm feeling pretty flexible in my dotage. I put the iPad Pro on a pillow in front of me and I type to Pat and Helma and Dorothy. The new Magic Keyboard absolutely does not work sitting on a pillow. It falls back about 15 degrees. I tried pulling it way forward so it's tilted oddly toward me and it sort of balanced, but I have to say, this device isn't made for pillows. With my legs stretched out straight, typing on it works great though. I have to see if I can get used to that position. I have noticed one unfortunate side effect of the iPad floating above the keyboard that I didn't really expect. As I'm typing letters in the top row, the tops of my fingernails sometimes hit the bottom edge of the iPad. So like when I'm lifting up my fingers, it's tapping on the top of my fingernails. It's not like they get stuck there or anything, but it's just kind of an annoyance I didn't expect. Now, I imagine over time my fingers might automatically adjust and I'll get used to it. I hope so. I'm writing this up on the iPad with the Magic Keyboard, so maybe by the end of you hearing this, you'll know if it had stopped happening. The Magic Keyboard comes with a built-in trackpad, and I really wondered where a trackpad would fit into the iPad life. Seems like we don't really need one since the iPad is basically a giant trackpad. The main place the trackpad on the Magic Keyboard rocks on iPad OS is when you're trying to finally place the cursor between two characters of text. It is so very much easier to place the cursor accurately in text with the trackpad than with your finger. Now, Apple spent some programming calories making the cursor in iPad OS adapt and change shape as you move it over different kinds of targets in apps. When you're not over any kind of target, it's a small gray circle. But if you slide over a button, it takes on the shape of that target. Unfortunately, not everything that looks like the same kind of target is truly the same under the hood. As a result, sometimes the cursor stays a circle when I expect it to change to another shape as I hover over something that looks like a button but was not programmed as a button. While entertaining to see the cursor change shape, I'm not sure that graphical change is much more than a parlor trick. Now, Alistair Jenks challenged me on that because on that statement, calling it a parlor trick, because he said it's fantastic that it's actually showing you visually that you're over a button. And I agree if it was consistent, but even within Apple apps, it isn't consistent. I looked at the reminders app and only a few things that look like buttons are buttons. And, text can be buttons. And so a lot of times it's a circle. Links don't show up as buttons because they're not buttons. I don't know. I think they need to do some more work to get it to actually be helpful. Right now, it's really kind of distracting because you think it's going to change, but it doesn't. So you can't really tell when it's going to and when it's not going to. Beyond text editing, using the trackpad to tap a target seems incredibly inefficient to me. Maybe it's a matter of getting into the habit of using the trackpad in order to realize the benefits, but right now it seems much faster to just reach up with my entire arm to tap a target with my finger than it does to move my finger from the keyboard to the trackpad and then slide around until I get to the target. You can play with trackpad settings to speed up the movement, so I don't know, maybe with a faster setting, I'd find it more efficient. I think of that lifting my giant arm thing because that was exactly what Steve Jobs said we would never want to do. And that's why they would never make a touchscreen Mac. There's one really super dumb thing about the trackpad. If you double tap with your plain old finger on the screen of an iPad or on an iPhone, you can select a word. And when highlighted, you will see two selection handles. If you can manage to grab one of those handles with your pudgy finger, you can drag it to select more text. Another method of selecting multiple words is to use your pudgy digit to double tap and then drag across the words you want. But not so with the Keyboard's trackpad. If you double tap with the trackpad on the Magic Keyboard, you do not get the handles. You just get the one word, and it doesn't get the handles to drag for more words. If you try to say push and drag on the single word that's selected to try to select more words, that doesn't work either. It picks the word up and it starts to move it around. I do not understand why they did it this way. It's so terrifically limiting, and I'm certain they're going to change that in a software update. Now, I should note that you can select a word with double click and then move the cursor to the end of what you want to select, hold down shift, and then tap with the trackpad. And, that does work. But even as you hear how clumsy it is to describe, it's not much less clumsy to execute. Here's another thing that can be fixed in software. My habit is still to use my fat finger to move the cursor in text. I have a tendency to go, oh, I want it to be there, and I tap with my finger. As soon as I do it, I realize that I can refine the location with the trackpad. But for some reason, it did not occur to the developers to have the cursor start moving right where I just tapped with my finger in the text. The cursor, when I grab the trackpad, it starts to move, but it's in some random, totally other location on screen. It's very disconcerting because your brain thinks, I just put the cursor there. Why is it not there? It's really unhelpful, and I hope they fix that. I'm going to stop and save. Swipe up. Did I miss anything? Only 28 messages. Why? You guys are quiet tonight. Were they so wowed with hearing about your telescope, Steve? They just lost their will to chat?
No, I think they're semi-chatty there.
28. Usually I get like 100 when I'm gone that long. Love touchscreens. All right. Sandy got the Magic Trackpad or Magic Keyboard too.
And
what's your opinion of it, Sandy? I don't know. I don't actually know. She said a couple nice things. Sandy loves it.
All right. Good.
She'll clean her basement, garage, and guest bedroom. We have a weekly thing called Wednesday Wine with some friends. And I've noticed it'll devolve into talking about the subject we don't want to talk about. And so I made an agenda last week. And on the agenda, I put, what weird thing did you clean this week just because you're locked up? Mine was I cleaned we have a scale for like a scale for mailing things, weigh packages. And it was just all gunky and gross looking, like it had food all over it, which is weird because we don't weigh our food. And so anyway,
that's kind of ironic because it's meant for food.
Is it really?
Yes.
I don't know if it is.
Well,
that's so it's not the red and white food scale. I'm talking about the dark gray one.
Oh, okay.
No, it's the dark gray one. Yeah, we still don't measure food with the red one either. Ooh, you cleaned cabinets in the kitchen. Wow. I cleaned the toaster today, Steve.
You did? Inside and out?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, like I shook all the crumbs out, and then there was this edge, like this little trough around it that was full of crumbs and dust, and they were kind of gunky in there.
Yeah,
cleaned that.
Trough.
Yep.
Where does
Jason
get this stuff?
I don't know. And how fast he is at getting exactly appropriate things.
He's got like a GIF library somewhere.
He thinks. I ate the food from the cabinets. Is that clean?
Good job, Frank.
It's really unhelpful, and I hope they fix that. Okay. All right. Mute yourself, dear. We're almost halfway through this. Okay. One of the greatest enhancements to macOS Catalina for me was the inclusion of Sidecar. This feature allows late model iPads paired with late model Macs to be used as an extra display. Now, I know I'm seriously spoiled with the 27-inch 5K display paired with my MacBook Pro, but when I'm doing the live show, I need all the screen real estate I could get. You'd think I could use the display on my MacBook Pro for overflow applications, but you'd be wrong. Because of the location and angle of my laptop and the very narrow depth of field I have with my new man-made lenses from cataract surgery, it's just far enough away that I can't read the laptop screen. Because of its size, the iPad can be put right at a location that is in my focal range. So I drag the Discord chat room over there using Sidecar, and it never gets covered up by one of the 28 other apps I run to create the live show. I also love Sidecar when I'm away from my desk. One of my favorite uses is to throw a macOS browser window onto the iPad and use it to display my latest programming project. That way I can have lots of windows open on the laptop screen, but never obscure the output Safari window. I think I'm noticing a pattern here. It seems like I'm using the iPad with Sidecar as a way to combat my bad habit of sprinkling windows all over the place and constantly having to drag them around to find things. For some reason, the iPad screen becomes sacred to me and I only put one window over there. In any case, I bring up Sidecar in the discussion of the new Magic Keyboard because I think Apple made a couple of super dumb decisions with the implementation of Sidecar. No matter what your configuration of hardware is, the first dumb thing Apple did was make it so that you cannot use your fingers on the iPad screen to select or scroll when it's displaying a macOS window via Sidecar. Because it's an iPad, your brain thinks it's possible to use your fingers, but you can't use your fingers because macOS doesn't have a touch interface. You can oddly use the Apple Pencil to select things inside macOS on iPad. So it doesn't make any sense. You should be able to use your fingers. It is as inefficient as it sounds, though, to let go of the Mac keyboard, reach over, grab your pencil, and then tap something. I'm sure there's artistic reasons you'd want to use the pencil on screen, but I wish I could use my stubby little fingers too. While you can't use your fingers on the iPad screen to scroll, you can use the attached keyboard on an iPad when it's in sidecar mode. In my use case of having the chat room on the iPad as a secondary screen, it is very natural to use the iPad's keyboard when interacting with macOS on iPad. This works perfectly with the original keyboard folio and the new Magic Keyboard. However, for some totally dumb, idiotic reason, Apple does not allow you to use the trackpad on the Magic Keyboard to move around and select on the iPad screen in a sidecar mode. Why the sticking heck can use the keyboard and not the trackpad? That makes zero sense. This is another thing they can obviously fix in an update to iPad OS, but the only polite reason I can think of for this is that it just didn't occur to them to enable it. Maybe the iPad OS people didn't ever talk to the sidecar people on the Mac OS team. Now, someone out there is yelling at their device right now asking, why don't you just use the native Discord app on iPad OS for the live show? You could do everything you wanted then. You could use your fingers, you could use your trackpad, you could use your keyboard. Well, here's the problem. My voice and my recording application's output or output audio are both being piped through Rogue Amoeba's loopback software on the Mac to pipe it into the Discord chat so the live audience can hear me. If I use the native iPad OS app, the audience would hear my voice through the iPad's microphone instead of the good one, and they would not hear my recording app. So, like when I was playing Barry's recording on this week's episode, they would never have been able to hear it. So that's why I don't use the native app on the iPad and I use Sidecar to move it over to the iPad. All right, there's a lot of chatter on the internets about the angles of the new Magic Keyboard. Of course, I had to get out a trusty plastic protractor from the 1970s, highly accurate instrument, to compare the viewing angles on the Magic Keyboard to those on the Smart Folio keyboard. I know I could have looked up to see what somebody else measured, but come on, plastic protractor, I could not resist it. The older generation Smart Folio keyboard has two angles and two angles only. Your choice is around 27 degrees or 42 degrees back from vertical. I never used it at the 27-degree angle, like I mentioned earlier. The only time I ever tried it at that 27-degree angle was when I was utterly exhausted and tried to watch or read something lying flat in bed with my iPad on my belly. I couldn't see the screen because it wasn't straight up enough. In contrast, the Magic Keyboard has continuous rotation, which got people super excited, but in usage has frustrated some. The range of motion is from 20 degrees forward of vertical to 35 degrees back. While the new keyboard has a much larger range of rotation, that's 55-degree range on the new keyboard versus only a 15-degree range on the old keyboard. While it does have that larger range, it can't go back quite as far as the old keyboard. In fact, it's shy by 7 degrees, and that's bothered a lot of people. Just as I don't think it's fair to declare a keyboard bad or good, I don't think we can say that people belly aching about that lost 7 degrees are actually wrong. If I'd never had the other keyboard, I don't think I'd have ever said, I wish it went back farther. But their opinion is completely valid because, it's their opinion. It bothers them. It doesn't go back farther. They want it to. But it seems to me that 35 degrees back is enough for me. Now, you might be wondering why they don't let it go back farther than 35 degrees. It's a problem with the center of gravity of the tablet itself. If you rotate it back much farther, it would start to fall backwards in more situations. Physics is a harsh mistress. Oh, I blew the line. I knew I would blow that. Record that again. Physics is a harsh mistress, my friend. But here's the good news. Remember that it can actually rotate forwards toward you by 20 degrees. This means that you can now lie down in bed and read or watch video on the new smart keyboard. Actually, I think it's not read or watch video. This means read or watch video. This means that you can now lie down in bed and read or even watch video on the new smart keyboard and have a great viewing angle. And here's a pro tip. The measurements I made, and by the way, had Steve double check with our trusty plastic protractor, were with the case open in its full upright position. But the hinge on this is so tight that you can actually open it to a much shallower angle and still view the screen. So if the lock positions aren't enough range forward for you, try collapsing the hinge a little bit more. There's no trick to make it go back farther, though. I mentioned the hinge on the Magic Keyboard. It's a round metal cylinder, and on the left side, it has a USB-C charging port. No, you cannot plug in a mouse or a disk drive. Okay, that's not entirely true. You can plug in a mouse or a disk drive, they just won't do anything. This port is strictly for charging the iPad. Its main value is that you can now have a port on the left and the right, which is awesome, but has the extra advantage of putting the cable down low instead of hanging halfway up the side of the iPad. That's a very bad thing, though, because my brain is trained to look for this ridiculous cable hanging off of the right-hand side. The first morning after I charged via the hinge port, I simply dragged the iPad off the counter and nearly ripped the charger off the wall because I simply didn't see it. It's possible I can be trained, though. But speaking of charging, my experience in just a couple of days of usage is that this keyboard is making my battery on my iPad drop like a stone. Normally, I never charge during the day because the 12.9-inch iPad Pro has a wicked long battery life. Imagine my surprise when at 9 p.m. on my first day with my Magic Keyboard, when I got a battery warning that said I was at 1% at 9 p.m. Now, first of all, a little more warning would have been lovely. I only had the new keyboard for about a half a day, so it really was an extraordinary drop in battery. As I was writing this article, I'd been typing for a long time, so the usage was much more than on the first day. At 3 p.m., I had to plug it in because it had dropped to 13%. I had been watching it drop, and I lost 12% of my battery in that last 45 minutes before I plugged it in. That just ain't right. I did a search on Twitter and found only a smattering of people chatting about that. Perhaps the number of people with them is fairly small right now, or perhaps it's not widespread. If it is a widespread problem, Apple will fix it. Here's to life on the bleeding edge. Now, remember early on when I mocked the Bridge keyboard because it doubled the weight of the iPad? Yeah, all about that. The 12.9-inch iPad Pro weighs 645 grams on my kitchen scale, and the Magic Keyboard weighs 701 grams, more than doubles the weight. In comparison, the Smart Folio keyboard only weighs 401 grams, so the Magic Keyboard is 57% heavier than the Smart Keyboard Folio. Now, I think the trick to living with the weight of the new Magic Keyboard is don't buy a 12.9-inch iPad Pro and a MacBook Air, because I think that actually weighs more than the MacBook Air. Basically the iPad Pro is going to feel like a boat anchor with the Magic Keyboard attached. Instead, here's how you make it feel light. Buy the hefty 16-inch MacBook Pro, which weighs in at just under 2,000 grams, 1958 to be exact, and now the iPad Pro with Magic Keyboard feels pretty acceptable. See, I'm here for you with solutions. When I started writing this article using the Magic Keyboard and the iPad Pro, I was not actually sold on the device. I actually thought I might send it back. But then about halfway through writing the article, I switched back to the Smart Keyboard Folio. That's when I realized how much I truly love typing on this Magic Keyboard. The Smart Keyboard Folio feels harder to push down on the keys, and it's far less satisfying to type on, for me. I don't have metrics to back this up, but it also feels like my accuracy is higher on the new Magic Keyboard. Guess what else? Remember how the tops of my fingernails were hitting the underside of the floating iPad when I started writing the article? Well, I got used to it. I didn't notice it at all by the time I was done writing this article. So here's the deal. If you have a 2018 or later iPad Pro with the Smart Keyboard Folio, and you have $300 to $350 to light on fire, run right out and get the new Magic Keyboard for iPad Pro because it's pretty awesome. But if you only have half that much money to light on fire and you don't have any keyboard at all for your 2018 or later iPad Pro, then the Smart Keyboard Folio is amazing too. And remember, you'll be saving 300 grams of weight as well. Having a keyboard on an iPad of any kind, in my opinion, makes it a much more useful device and one I can't live without. All right, I can live without it, but you know what I mean. All right, there we go. Hold on for a fingernail. Wait, okay, now why are we watching a man doing push-ups?
Well, yeah.
I mean, I'm not against that picture.
Scroll back a little bit to this GIF.
Oh, let me use my finger to scroll on the screen.
All right.
Oh, shoot, I forgot something.
Uh-oh, what?
You can scroll with 2 fingers.
Oh, you got to completely redo that 3,000 word post.
What am I looking for?
Look at
I
this
see
GIF.
somebody with hot dog arms.
Yes. So, and then someone claimed that was me running with Tesla.
Oh.
And so I said I need to really work out my arms a little more, and Jason responds with this.
Because he's got it ready at all times.
It's pretty sophisticated in this chat room. We
nice.
We get into heavy topics.
Okay, I'm going to just put a disclaimer here at the end.
All right.
Okay. All right, I'm going to make a little correction here to one of the things I said here. When I got done recording that piece, I looked back over at the live show in Discord, and remember how I said you can't scroll? You can't interact with your fingers. It turns out you can use 2 fingers to scroll, not 1 finger. I totally forgot, but I instinctively went over and did it. So you actually can use that. But you still can't use the trackpad on the Magic Keyboard. So that was the point of the article. All right.
Good recovery there. And you saved yourself a lot of emails.
Yeah, but I think I should go back and fix it in the article. Who's going to be in charge of reminding me that?
Fix it in post.
All right. All right. Mute yourself, dear. Well, that is going to wind us up for this week. Don't forget to send in your dumb questions. We have a fantastic one from Trevor Drover, but I saved it for next week. It's a doozy. And you can send your dumb questions, comments, and suggestions to me by emailing me at allison@podfeed.com. And remember to send in your 15-year, memories. How did you find the show? All that kind of thing. Also to allison@podfeed.com. You can follow me on Twitter @podfeed. Remember, like we said, everything good starts with podfeed.com. You want to become a patron? Go to podfeed.com/Patreon. You want to do a PayPal donation like Ralph did? How do you find that? Podfeed.com/PayPal. You want to join our Facebook group? Podfeed.com/Facebook. Want to go to Slack where you can find Bart over there and a lot of people talking about programming and all kinds of crazy things in the Delete Me channel? That's at podfeed.com/Slack. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show and see all of the truly unusual GIFs that Jason finds, head on over to podfeed.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCastaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. A lot of vocal fry that time.
That's a wrap.
And my Mac didn't crash.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a bonus tip right there.
Have they gotten back to you on that?
Yeah, I said that I talked to them and they said to maybe I didn't say they told me to do it. Reset the SMC and reinstall the OS and then call them in the morning if anything goes wrong.
And take 2 aspirin.
And stay subscribed.
Banana pancakes. Ooh. Now I'm getting hungry.
What? When are you going to make me scones? I mean, no, bagels.
Bagels, we could do it tomorrow. However, they didn't have the bagel seasoning. But
so they'll just be plain bagels?
No, we can put cheese on top.
Weren't we just talking about how much weight we gained in the last week?
Yeah, we are putting on a few.
Everybody, we're having a problem with our neighbors. I call it Cake Wars 2020.
Yeah,
people keep bringing cake, brownies, everything. It's terrible.
Nothing is low calorie.
Banana pancakes. I don't believe in banana in food. Well, actually, That's not true. I like banana bread. I made chocolate chip banana bread. Then
That
we
was
got a
good.
bundt
That was
cake
2 thumbs up.
from somebody. Yeah, we ate all that. Then there was a
Well, we gave some away.
bundt cake.
We gave some of that banana bread away.
Yeah, we gave half the bundt cake away because I was eating like 3 slices a day. And then we had some chocolate cake from my neighbor. Now she's brought another chocolate cake. You know, I said I was going to throw that away, Steve. I couldn't do
I
it.
saw it in the fridge.
I want to taste it.
Yeah, we do need to take a bite. I mean, obligatory bite. That's it.
Yeah, you know,
Just-
I mean,
just one.
it'd be rude. Hey, when did Rose get here?
She's been here a while. She's just
No,
not in the live,
I didn't.
She's just not in the live chat. She's
So I didn't say hi to her in the opening. It's
well,
6:09.
Yeah. You kept the class late, really late.
I'm sorry. It's
Mhm.
terrible. All right. Well, I think we should say goodbye.
I think we should.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, Rose. Everybody have a good week. We'll see you next week. Send in your 15-year things. Rose, you haven't written anything in a long time
Oh, it'd be great.
or recorded anything.
That'd
All
be
right.
cool.
Bye, guys.
Night, Gracie.